Hello, everybody. Alisha Merlo here, and we are excited for another session of Countdown to GVAS Fall Summit 2020. I am here with Rick O'Neill, the founder of LTF, which is an exciting marketing agency he'll tell us a little bit more about shortly. And really the purpose of these videos is for us to be able to talk to the amazing faculty at GVAS, learn a little bit about who they are, what they have to offer, and what they're going to share when you attend GVAS this year. So Rick, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and I will note, I am in California in the US, and Rick is all the way on the other side of the globe in the UK. So what is my morning is his evening. So again, we're excited to be able to chat with you. So before we dive into what you're going to be talking about at GVAS, really, I would love to know a little bit more about you, Rick, your experience in aesthetics, you know, why you're so passionate about it, why you've built not just LTF, but other opportunities and businesses around this amazing space.
Sure. So I've been in digital for 20 plus years now, and I founded LTF, as you say. LTF stands for Look, Touch and Feel. It's a digital marketing agency based at Silverstone Racetrack in the UK, which is where we have our Formula One race. So we have race cars whizzing around the outside of our office most days. And for about 10 of those 20 years that I've been in digital, we've always done a lot of work in the aesthetic and cosmetic surgical sector. So we've worked with lots of private hospitals, cosmetic surgeons and surgeries, and lots of aesthetic practices and clinics. So out of the back of that, I've also, as you say, developed other opportunities. So I co-founded a community starting on Facebook, but now we have our own web platform of aesthetic practitioners. And myself and my partner in that venture, we help them with the business and the marketing side of aesthetics. So Richard Crawford Small is my partner in that, and he helps with the business strategy side. And I run the whole digital marketing advice section. So we put out courses, we do live clinics, but digital clinics, assessing people's business and marketing. And in addition to that, and through all of that, I also am the digital consultant for Allergan Aesthetics in the UK and Europe. So lots going on, lots of kind of ties into this aesthetic sector. I'm passionate about it for a few reasons, really, because I see a lot of opportunity. I see that a lot of aesthetic practitioners don't really like or relish the digital elements of running a business. It's not really what they signed up for when they started. Especially in the UK, a lot of people come out of the National Health Service and begin aesthetic practices, and they've never run a business before. And so I really enjoy opening their eyes to what's possible, and then guiding them through it.
Well, I am very impressed by the fact that I feel like you've mastered how to have more hours in the day or days in the week by all the things that you're involved in.
Yep.
So you have to share that secret. But really, I alongside you have just seen just this industry in the last 2 decades I've been in it just boom. And when I first started, I like to say my first marketing meeting, and this is when I was on the sales side with a plastic surgeon, I said, what's your marketing plan? You know, what do you do to market your practice? And he said, oh, hold on. And he leans over and he reaches in his drawer and he pulls out his business card and he handed it to me.
Wow.
And I was laughing, you know, inside my head going, oh my goodness. I said, this is fantastic. It's a beautiful card. The aesthetic is flawless. What happens when somebody's not in front of you? And how far we've come to consider all things, not just in the face-to-face realm of marketing, or even as it used to be in print, but in the different modalities that we have in the digital space, from social media to websites, and all the considerations, not just to creating content that goes into that, but also to making sure that content is seen and engaging people. So it's wonderful to have experienced talent like yourself and those on your team to be able to help those aesthetic, practices or clinics really excel in that area, because truly they're trained on how to care for patients, right? They're trained on
That's
how
right.
to help assess and analyze and help them reach their aesthetic goals. And
Yeah.
here it is, all of a sudden they're thrust into business and now they've got to do so much more. So,
Yeah.
it's very encouraging to note that there are organizations around the globe that bring these expertise to these offices. And I love the sense of community that you said, that you've built this community. Can I ask a couple of questions about your community?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So what's it called?
It's called the Aesthetic Entrepreneurs.
Ah,
So obviously that speaks to exactly what you were just saying. It's bringing out the entrepreneur within them to be able to strategize, commercialize, and then digitally market these aesthetic businesses they're just beginning. And there's a few levels and sizes of practice in that community, but the size of the community now, there's around 1,200 people in there, 1,200 practitioners, mostly UK based, although there's people also from the US and even Australia and New Zealand going the other way. And it's fantastic. The breakthroughs that you see, the revelations, the results, and the growth, both in kind of mindset and performance in business, it's great to see. And we just celebrated our second birthday with the community. So yeah, it's fantastic. It's going really
well,
well.
happy birthday to the aesthetic entrepreneurs. And I do think that there is power in that peer-to-peer platform that you've created, right? To be able to allow those that are walking the walk of each other's journey within their business, and everybody might be in a different timeline. Somebody might just be starting off, somebody might be more seasoned, so you're able to bring them as a collective to have that crowd intelligence as well, which I'm sure helps you understand the mindset and the different areas of opportunity that you can bring to practices within your group, and then within LTF and your other endeavors as well. So that's exciting.
100% it does. Yeah, we learn from them, they learn from us, and it's a reciprocal process. It's great.
And that's what I love about the virtual conferences now. So for example, at GVAS, not only do the attendees get to connect with the presenters such as yourself, but there is networking lounges and opportunities to engage with you and their fellow peers from around the globe. So I am very, very much an advocate for taking advantage of that piece of conferences as well. So
Yeah,
love that you have
absolutely.
that. So now let's dive into what you're going to be talking about. And
Yeah.
there's two sessions that you have on the agenda. Let's talk about the first one I've got down, which is talking about why the mobile experience is critical for aesthetic clinics. And you and I were chatting a little bit before, and we think that having a mobile kind of turnkey solution for your practice digitally should be kind of a hygiene factor, right? Like brushing your teeth, it should happen.
Yep.
So talk to us a little bit about, don't give away the farm, because we want people to obviously get the full experience when they hear your session, but tell us a little bit about what they'll learn from this particular talk.
Sure. So like you said, I'm kind of surprised myself that I'm still talking about this, but the focus on mobile experience and why I'm calling it out again in this talk, it comes down to the fact that for our patients, for our clients, whatever you want to call them, for the vast majority of them, 70%, 80% of their experience with our business, with our practice, is happening on their smartphone. And despite that fact, lots of aesthetic practices and their digital agencies are still not paying close enough attention to that experience. So for me, mobile experience is still a critical thing to get right in aesthetics. And it's critical, I think, especially right now in this moment, because we just jumped forward 5 years in terms of digital expectations of our patients. It was going to happen anyway, but COVID just bumped us 5 years on in 3 months. And so the expectations people have to be able to access everything instantly via mobile, through social media, through your website, through your booking system, video, whatever it might be, have just lurched forward another 5 years. So it's got to happen now that this experience through that whole workflow, that whole onboarding process is completely slick and connected and, linking to my other talk, automated.
And personal, right? Because one of the things that people want to, in lieu of being able to be in front of somebody experiencing them, is how do you kind of create a personalized journey
Mm.
with your clinic or practice through a mobile and a digital experience. I hope you'll touch on some of those key things in your talk, because I believe that it's one thing to just have a website that's mobile responsive, or have the bare bones, but then to be able to really connect with those clients or clinic patients personally, if they're new to you, or keeping them engaged. So very, very important topic. And I love that you're going to help us to understand how we've been accelerated that 5
Yeah.
years into the future for what we are today. And good thing that digital is nimble, right? It's unlike
Yeah,
printing things, right?
absolutely.
Where you've got a lot of,
Yeah.
assets that go into printing and tangible things. So
I've been there. I printed something with a typo in it, 10 million copies. So I've been there. So digital's a lot more flexible in that sense, but the personalization is a critical element to it. And also the whole point of getting your digital and automation and mobile experience nailed is to leave you the time to add those personal touches as well, the human personal touches. Because a lot of time what I also see is people working all the hours trying to figure this stuff out for themselves and actually forgetting the human aspect of the whole process. So that's the whole point of getting this stuff running whilst you sleep, as it were, is you can tailor it, you can add nice personal touches to the digital experience, but it leaves you room to be human again and to really maintain those relationships in the old-fashioned way as well.
excellent. So you're marrying both, right? You're being able to
100%, yeah.
create that. That's exciting. So with the automation talk, when you're talking about automation for aesthetic clinics and practices, that's a big bucket, right? What
It
goes
is.
into automation for a practice, and what are the key things that you'll be touching on in that talk at GVAS?
So automation, yeah, is a big topic. For some people who aren't kind of familiar with the term, what I'm talking about is using web technology, web software, to automate the various workflows through a typical aesthetic practice. So that one workflow might be onboarding a patient. So they've made a booking, perhaps online. What happens after that? And for the next year, what happens? And what are the systems that need to connect to each other? So in my talk, we'll be covering things like booking, payments, collecting reviews, following up with people, referral, loyalty, subscription, package building, recurring revenue, that kind of stuff, even into a bit of e-commerce as well. Because again, in this moment now that we're in, it's not a given that you can have an open clinic and have patients with you. In the UK, as we speak, some parts of the UK are open, some not. So we've got regional lockdowns happening due to COVID. And what it's exposed is how some aesthetic practices have a very, very short runway once the clinic doors close. And so where I think it needs to go and where people need to kind of shore up the foundations is in having a very digital business, having revenue that can happen in an automated fashion, in a digital fashion, when your clinic is closed. Right. But to help you keep the lights on, to help you build a strong business, to survive things like the occasional global pandemic, but also to help you thrive, just generally speaking, because all those expectations have changed. We are now much more digitally expectant as consumers and patients. So it sounds like a big topic, but I break it down into 8 key processes that go through a typical aesthetics business and how you can automate them and the kind of systems you might use.
Excellent. And I love that you talked about e-commerce there, because by day, I am the Senior Director of Professional Relations at Colorescience, which is a skincare company. And what we saw to that point was that the practices that we know that had already adopted e-commerce as part of their ecosystem for their business really didn't miss a beat in being able to offer that to their patients, because people were still wanting to care for their skin. They still wanted to be able to do something in the interim of when they couldn't come in for actual treatments or consults.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited that you're going to add that element, because all the things that we may have been accelerated to be able to have to bring on as a result of the environment are evergreen going forward, right? It's not just a Band-Aid. It really is part of the infrastructure that can help a
Absolutely.
practice be successful. So I think those 8 points will be very valued by those that are able to attend your session.
Yeah, 100%. This is about becoming future-proof and building a foundation. The COVID aspect is just a trigger and a reminder, and it's put it to the top of the to-do list, but it's not just a, hey, if you're in a lockdown, this is what you do. It's not about that. As you say, this is what it's going to take to be an aesthetic practice that thrives and grows from now forwards. And in some of the webinars we've done in the aesthetic entrepreneur community, we talk about this fourth era of aesthetics. And in this fourth era, and I'll have to share the other three another time, but it's all about that digital foundation and building these revenue streams and slightly agile business models that can happen when the clinic door is closed.
And I imagine that everything that you're going to share, because you are a full service agency in digital, has analytics to back it up. So you're not just going to be making recommendations because they sound good or, you know, pretty or flowy. You'll have the proof sourcing from the data and analytics, which is such a key component to going digital, that you can not only, you know, implement and execute, but you can measure and manage along the way.
Yeah.
That is empowering for all practices to have those resources. And so I'm sure that some of those interesting statistics that you've been able to come across from the pivot and the things that set clinics and practices up for success will be shared as well.
Absolutely. I mean, the talks that we're discussing now, the stats within them, they come from not just 20 years of experience here, but the fact that LTF hosts over 300 websites in the sector. We got all their analytics, and so it's real solid stuff.
It's going to be fantastic. Well, I hope everybody can attend your 2 sessions there at GVAS. But if they want to learn a little bit more about you and LTF and the aesthetic entrepreneurs, where can they find you prior to GVAS?
So you can find LTF at looktouchfeel.com. And you can also look up the aesthetic entrepreneur community on Facebook. We have a group. Just type in the aesthetic entrepreneurs and you'll see a group in there with around 1,200 members, all like-minded aesthetic practitioners. And you can reach me personally on my own consulting website, which is rickoneil.co.uk.
Excellent. Well, Rick, it's been a joy getting to know you. And again,
Likewise.
thank you for your time and giving everybody this sneak peek as we count down to GVAS. And I'll look forward to those sessions that you're going to be speaking at as well. So with that, we're going to sign off and we will see you at GVAS Fall Summit 2020. And you can still register to grab your spot so you can catch Rick and the other fantastic clinical and business faculty. So thanks a lot, Rick. Have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, Alicia. See you all there, guys.
Bye-bye.